Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo 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 Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Anantaiva Narottamam.
Narayana Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatyam Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatyam Vyasam.
Tito Jayam Adiraya.
Tito Jayam Adiraya.
Srimad Bhagavatam. Canto 1. Chapter 14. Text number 34.
35.
34, I think.
Yes, you're right.
34?
34.
Okay. Bhagavanapi Govindo.
Bhagavanapi Govindo.
Ramanyo Bhakti Vatsala.
Ramanyo Bhakta Vatsala.
Kachit Pure Sudharmayam.
Kachit Pure Sudharmayam.
Sukamaste Suridvitaha.
Sukamaste Suridvitaha.
Bhagavanapi Govindo.
Bhagavanapi Govindo.
Ramanyo Bhakti Vatsala.
Ramanyo Bhakta Vatsala.
Kachit Pure Sudharmayam.
Kachit Pure Sudharmayam.
Sukamaste Suridvitaha.
Sukamaste Suridvitaha. Bhagavanopi Govindo.
Bhagavanapi Govindo.
Brahmano Bhakta Vatsalaha.
Ramanyo Bhakti Vatsala.
Kachit Pure Sudharmayam.
Kachit Pure Sudharmayam.
Sukhamaste Suridvitaha.
Sukamaste Suridvitaha.
Bhagavanapi Govindo.
Bhagavanapi Govindo.
Ramanyo Bhakta Vatsalaha.
Ramanyo Bhakta Vatsalaha.
Kachit Pure Sudharmayam.
Kachit Pure Sudharmayam.
Sukamaste Suridvitaha.
Sukamaste Suridvitaha.
Bhagavanapi Govindo.
Bhagavanapi Govindo.
Ramanyo Bhaktavatsalaha.
Ramanyo Bhakta Vatsalaha.
Kachit Pure Sudharmayam.
Kachit Pure Sudharmayam.
Sukamaste Suridvrataha.
Sukamaste Suridvitaha.
Bhagavanapi Govindo.
Bhagavanapi Govindo.
Ramanyo Bhakta Vatsala.
Ramanyo Bhakta Vatsalaha.
Pure Sudharmayam.
Kachit Pure Sudharmayam.
Namaste Suridvrita.
Sukamaste Suridvitaha.
Ladies?
Bhagavanapi Govindo.
Bhagavanapi Govindo.
Ramanyo Bhakta Vatsala.
Ramanyo Bhakta Vatsalaha.
Kachit Pure Sudharmayam.
Kachit Pure Sudharmayam.
Sukamaste Suridvrita.
Sukamaste Suridvitaha.
Bhagavanapi Govindo.
Bhagavanapi Govindo.
Ramanyo Bhakta Vatsala.
Ramanyo Bhakta Vatsalaha.
Kachit Pure Sudharmayam.
Kachit Pure Sudharmayam.
Sukamaste Suridvrita.
Sukamaste Suridvitaha.
Bhagavanapi Govindo.
Bhagavanapi Govindo.
Ramanyo Bhakta Vatsala.
Ramanyo Bhakta Vatsalaha.
Kachit Pure Sudharmayam.
Kachit Pure Sudharmayam.
Sukamaste Suridvrita.
Sukamaste Suridvrita. Anyone else? Word for word, please repeat. Bhagavan.
Bhagavan.
The personality of Godhead Krishna.
The personality of God Krishna.
Api.
Api.
Also.
Also.
Govinda.
Govinda.
One who enlivens the cows and the senses.
One who enlivens the cows and the senses.
Brahmanya,
Brahmanya,
devoted to the devotees of the Brahmins.
devoted to the devotees of the Brahmins.
Bhaktavatsala,
Bhagavatam,
affectionate to the devotees.
affectionate to the devotees.
Kachit,
Kachit,
weather.
weather.
Puri,
Puri,
in Dwarkapuri.
in Dwarkapuri.
Sudarmayam,
Sudarmayam,
pious assembly.
pious assembly.
Shukam,
Shukam,
happiness.
happiness.
Aste,
Aste,
does enjoy.
does enjoy.
Suritvrita,
Suritvrita,
surrounded by friends.
surrounded by friends.
Translation, please repeat. Is Lord Krishna,
Is Lord Krishna,
the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
who gives pleasure to the cows, the senses, and the
who
Brahmins,
gives pleasure to the cows, the senses, and the Brahmins,
who is very affectionate toward his devotees,
who is very affectionate towards his devotees,
enjoying the pious assembly
enjoying the pious assembly
at Dwarkapuri,
and Dwarkapuri,
surrounded by his friends.
surrounded by his friends.
Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila
Let
Prabhupada.
me repeat the verse one more time. Is Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who gives pleasure to the cows, the senses, and the Brahmins, who is very affectionate toward his devotees, enjoying the pious assembly at Dwarkapuri, surrounded by friends. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Here in this particular verse, the Lord is described as Bhagavan, Govinda, Brahmanya, and Bhaktavatsala. He is Bhagavan Swayam, or the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, full with all opulences, all power, all knowledge, all beauty, all fame, and all renunciation. No one is equal to or greater than him. He is Govinda, because he is the pleasure of the cows and the senses. Those who have purified their senses by the devotional service of the Lord can render unto him real service, and thereby derive transcendental pleasure out of such purified senses. Only the impure conditioned living being cannot derive any pleasure from the senses. But being illusioned by false pleasures of the senses, he becomes servant of the senses. Therefore, we need his protection for our interest. The Lord is the protector of the cows and Brahminical culture. A society devoid of cow protection and Brahminical culture is not under the direct protection of the Lord. Just as prisoners in jails are not under the protection of the king, but under the protection of a severe agent of the king. Without cow protection and cultivation of Brahminical qualities in human society, at least for a section of the members of society, no human civilization can prosper at any length. By Brahminical culture, the development of the dormant qualities of goodness, namely truthfulness, equanimity, sense control, forbearance, simplicity, general knowledge, transcendental knowledge, and firm faith in the Vedic wisdom, one can become a Brahmin and thus see the Lord as he is. And after surpassing the Brahminical perfection, one has to become a devotee of the Lord, so that his loving affection in the form of proprietor, master, friend, son, and lover can be transcendentally achieved. The stage of a devotee which attracts the transcendental affection of the Lord does not develop unless one has developed the qualities of a Brahmin, as mentioned above. The Lord is inclined to a Brahmin of quality and not of false prestige. Those who are less than a Brahmin by qualification cannot establish any relation with the Lord, just as fire cannot be kindled from the raw earth unless there's wood. Although there is a relation between the wood and the earth. Since the Lord is all perfect in himself, there could not be any question of his welfare, and Maharaj Yudhisthira refrained from asking this question. He simply inquired about his residential place. Dwarkapuri, where pious men assemble. The Lord says, only where pious men assemble and takes pleasure in glorifying the supreme truth. Maharaj Yudhisthira was anxious to know about the pious men and their pious acts in the city of Dwarka. That's an incredible verse and purport. It's like this is the perfection of a setup to speak about Krishna. So each of us may have some reason why we become attracted to Krishna. In my humble circumstances, it was by the devotees. The devotees were so attractive to me. They were so happy. They were so free. I remember seeing them at the temple the first time thinking, these are the people that I've been looking for. Exactly what I thought. I saw their smiling faces. I saw them enthusiastically cleaning the temple, preparing for the grand opening of the temple there in New Orleans and Esplanade. And I looked and I thought, these are the people I've been looking for. I knew it. That was my first real understanding of an assembly. Before that, I was in Amsterdam and there was one devotee. He was an Indian devotee and he was chanting on the street. And he was dark skinned, had beautiful bright tilak, long down his nose. All you could see was the tilak, basically. He was tall, Indian boy. And he was chanting there. He was on this busy street and there was a million, like Mardi Gras kind of crowd going down the street. And Amsterdam was just this free love, San Francisco on steroids. And so all these, hippies going every which way, all these people. And right in the middle of all of this huge crowd was this one Indian devotee, all by himself, kartals, chanting a little bit. I didn't hear the chanting so much, but he was handing out a card. He was giving a card. And so on the card, it gave an address of a place. I had no idea what it was. I had no idea who he was, but I remember seeing how beautiful that tilak was. There was something mystical about it. You have this mystical feeling inside of you. Many of you probably have, more so than I do. It's like you feel there's something mystical, like you're always looking for this mystical thing in life. And so deep within me, I sensed this is a mystical person. He has some mystic power. I need to see him again. And so I had to embarrass. I was always broke. And so I borrowed some money from my friend because I would always pay back come payday. So it was like my bank. And I borrowed I think it was 5 guilder in Dutch money. 5 guilders is like, I don't know what it is now, but it's like, their guilder was like $1. So anyway, I gave him one of those 5 guilder pieces. I just thought it was natural. You just felt like he'd give me something. I gave him something. I don't know why I gave him a donation. But so then we go to this club, and it's called the Paradiso. I think it was the Paradiso, but anyway, it was one of those hippie clubs. And it was, you'd go in and it was just hardwood floors and they had rooms that were basically empty except they had one room with a tire swing hanging. And then they had these step-ups where people would sit on these wood steps. And there was some African man there. And he had this big chillum full of hashish. The devotee, I noticed, came in and he set up a little table there. And at the table, he had little cups of grape juice about this big and little chocolate chip cookies. So the hippies would come, they would smoke the hashish, and then they would go and get grape juice and cookies. And there was one lady. She was wearing a sari, and she was this exotic-looking Middle Eastern hippie kind of girl, but she was partaking of the hashish, but yet she was wearing a sari. I remember that. I thought, how weird this is. I didn't know what it was, but every time I would go to get a cookie and grape juice from him, I'd give him a donation. And then we left. I didn't know any more about it. I didn't know anything else. But then I saw some poster of I think it was Srila Prabhupada coming to Amsterdam. But I kept going back and I missed it somehow. It's like the wrong, because I didn't know when, I was confused or something. But anyway, so I missed it. So I didn't know I saw Hare Krishna. I didn't know there was a devotee. I didn't know that was a devotee. I found about him later. I asked, who's the architect, the engineer that built Vrindavan,
Surabi.
Surabi Maharaj. Surabi Maharaj at the time, Maharaj, he knew this Indian boy. And the Indian boy ended up leaving or something like that, but he remembered him. He knew him because he was in charge of Amsterdam. He was from Holland. And so, anyway, I didn't know any more about it, and so I kept looking. We went, and then there was a restaurant there that the devotees had set up, but I didn't know. No one ever really told me anything else about Krishna. And so, we could have just left it at that, you know, I guess, but somehow Krishna, Prabhupada had a way that he knew. Somehow he already knew, you know. Krishna already knows that, you know, here's a person that somehow or another, you know, will take this mercy, you know. And so I was traveling. After I got out, I was in the military, you know, and I got out and I was traveling, and I'm basically spending my money, running out of money. And this truck comes up. I was on the University of El Paso, a red pickup truck, and there's a bunch of Spanish people on the back, obviously Mexicans. And they jump out of the back of the truck and they run to me. One of them runs up to me and puts a big Christian book in my hand. Said, this book is all about God. It's printed up by George Harrison. I said, really? I like George Harrison. I'm looking for God. I said, how much? I had $10 to my name. Most, 10, 12, maximum $12. I was broke. He said, $8. I said, all I have is a $10 bill, Prabhu. Can you give me, sir, can you give me change? He said, yeah. So I gave him the $10 bill. He took it. Prabhu, you got change? No. You can give to Krishna, can't you? That's what he said. You can give $2 to Krishna, can't you? I said, I guess. He saw it was easy. I was what they call a buddy in the French Quarter. When the ladies see a guy coming, they say, there's a buddy, you know, and they know he's going to give a donation. I was a buddy. I was easy. So I gave him the donation, and I had the Krishna book. And it was so odd. It's not odd now, but then it was odd. I went to this little, Bhagavatam Prabhu knows El Paso, and it's basically the inner city is Mexicano gangs. You know, youth, a lot of them there, you know, inner city there. So I didn't know the area. I didn't know anything. I'm just a hippie. I've been in Europe, so there hippies can travel anywhere, you know. But there in America, it's a little different. You got to watch what neighborhood you end up in. You know? So anyway, I was in this little place, and I went to get something to eat, and I had $2 to my name. Honestly, you know, so I was like, I got to get something to eat. I'm starving. And so I already have a room at the YMCA that's basically free. So I come into this restaurant and I have this Krishna book and I set it down on the table. And I'm starting to eat, and this Mexican gang was out there next to me, a bunch of young guys, you know, they're all kind of like macho sitting there, and they said, they're like Krishna! Making fun of Krishna book, you know. Not making fun of it. This is my book. You're making fun of Krishna book, this is my book. First thing I did was identify with the book. And I'm like, hey, you making fun of my book? Swear to God, that's what happened. You know, so like Krishna got me there a little bit, you know, got me a little bit like this was something. Now I understand this was everything, but at the time you didn't know. I didn't know what was happening. I had no idea what was happening. Just some burned out hippie, right? And so I take it, and I'm feeling defensive already about, you know, hey, I'm a martyr, you know. And I take the book and I go back to the room and I sat down and I opened the Krishna book. First time I opened it, right? And I'm not lying, this fragrance just came up. Really nice. And then somehow there was incense was burning. You know? So incense coming. And all of a sudden, somebody started playing a flute. I'm like, wow. I'm sitting there, wow. Nobody knows but me. You know, I'm sitting there, I hear the flute. I smell the incense. I'm feeling the essence of this book coming at me, and I'm like, wow. my book, this is the book I've been looking for. I was basically a perfect candidate for a book worshiper. I was a book worshiper. Books. Every time I get a book, people stop being around me because all I want to do is read books. So Krishna knew this. So Prabhupada knew this. And so he understands. You put these books out there, there's going to be a certain number. Vivaswan compares it to like panning for gold. And as the best example I ever heard, you know how you do when you pan for gold, you have a little screen, and you pick the gold and you shake it, and all the rocks and stuff fall off. Every now and then you see a nugget in there. You know, like once in a blue moon, there's a gold nugget in there. So it's the same way. Spreading these books or preaching, every now and then there's a nugget there. Like Caitlin here. She's a nugget. She's come to the temple and she don't want to leave. We're happy.
Yes, very happy.
So somehow or another, this Krishna book, I came back to this little junior college, and the most amazing thing, because I still knew absolutely no inclination, there was an International Society for Krishna Consciousness, there were devotees, I had no clue about any of that. I didn't even think about it anymore, just had this book. And so I went, and I was a distance runner. And you got to realize I had just been nearly 3 years in the military, and I never touched drugs in my life till I went in the military. I promise you, I was a perfect farm boy until I got in the military. And then all these people started coming, and smoking hash and stuff. So it took me about a year to realize I was burned out. I said, I can't do this. My happiness is gone. I love nature. Everything about me, I've become disoriented. I can't do this anymore. So I stopped. I stopped all of that. Started fasting and doing all that. And I was a distance runner my whole life. So I went back to this little college. I walked in. They were very happy to have me because, I had some reputation from before running. So I came in and I got me a little room and the government paid for me money. And I never went to class. But every day they paid me, and I went and I ran track every day. And I could do this for you could get away with it then. You didn't have to go to class. If you ran track, you could just go run track. They didn't have any rules about it. Now, they're very strict about academics and all that. But at that time, they didn't. So I would run morning and night, and sit and read this Krishna book all day long. I had no idea now that there was an International Society for Krishna Consciousness. The book, the big volume 1, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the big silver, was the only one I had. And I had no idea what I was reading. I would read it, and it was just like, phew. I remember thinking this, one thing I remember, sweetmeats were a Jewish food stuff. I thought it was one of those kind of meats, some kind of kosher meat that the Jewish must eat. That's what I thought sweetmeats were. So I was kind of getting the feeling this is some kind of religious thing, but I didn't know. But I kept reading about it. And then so one night, I'm sitting on a track up on this mountain, and I'm meditating. And I've got so much fear in my heart. I mean, just like waves of fear would go through me, from being, I basically drugs or whatever, I don't know. But I was just feeling this anxiety, waves would go through me. Why am I so afraid? What am I? I mean, I was mean. And somebody said something to me, I would just get in a fight in a second, and everybody knew that. There was some kind of anger issue. I guess devotees know that when I came here a little bit. But the point being is that it was horrible. It was scary. And so I would sit there and I was so afraid. And I remember meditating and I remember reading in Prabhupada's Krishna book, the cause of all causes. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, cause of all causes. And then I realized, well, that would be, everything would be relevant to that cause. Nothing. And when I thought like that, all the fear was gone. Immediately. I was fearless. I felt peaceful, happy, and I thought, what was that? See, I wasn't fit to be in a temple then. But this Krishna book, Prabhupada's mercy, took me there in this special situation until I became purified by reading this Krishna book over and over. And people identified me with this Krishna book. Wherever I go, they would say, yeah, he's got his thing together, he reads that book all the time. I was just as peaceful and happy, you know, just as I could be, just reading this Christian book. So then I went to New Orleans. I had some job offer to work offshore. Everybody then in my town could work off on the oil rigs every summer and make money, you know. So somebody offered me a job, and I just thought, why not, you know. And so I was going to go work, and I came to New Orleans, and it just so happened that my cousin's house was about 3 blocks from the temple on Esplanade Avenue. It's like a hippie house, right? And so I came in, and I had become like this guy up in the razor's edge, you know, total clean, fasting. So I came in, their house was like totally hippie, you know, dirty, stinky place. So I cleaned their whole place up, and, you know, I'm working all the time, and, you know, just reading my Christian book. And this boy comes up to me and says, I got the other book that goes with it. I said, what book is that? He said, the Bhagavad Gita. I said, yeah, I've been looking. I said something about Bhagavad Gita in here. I was going to try to find that book after I read this one. I had no idea what a Bhagavad Gita was. He said, the Bhagavad Gita. So I said, really? And he said, yeah. He said, but, and then he could tell the devotees that he said, but I have 2 of them. He said, one of them is supposed to be bona fide and the other one's not. So now I know the devotees had told him, you know, one's impersonal or something, you know. And so it was the little blue Bhagavad Gita with the silhouette of Krishna on the front. Y'all remember the dark silhouette? And so it was this little small Bhagavad Gita like this. And so he gave me 2 of them. And so I went, and that night I tried to read the Bhagavad Gita, and I just couldn't. It was just too hard for me. I don't know if anybody else ever had it, but I just could not, you know, get it. I just couldn't get it. So anyway, I laid them down, and the unbona fide one, the dog tore up. The next morning we looked, and it was just a pile of shredded paper there, and I told him, well, I'm sorry, the dog. He said, I don't care, it don't matter, you know. So anyway, I kept the good one, and I had that little Bhagavad Gita, and he said, you know, there's a temple down the road here. I said, what? He said, yeah, you know, where these books come from, there's a temple just down the street. I really? I said, yeah. I said, wow, I guess I'm going to go down there. So I did my yogi thing, and it's hot summer, right? And I went barefooted down Esplanade on that concrete. And you don't know how it gets in the summer. It was hot. And so I'm doing my to the temple, right? I really was. I was crazy. And so I go in the temple, and first people I see, Yogendra Vandana. Yogendra Vandana, he hadn't changed a bit. He was bouncing around doing that. He looked the same now as he did then. And they're getting ready. They're cleaning everything. There's another devotee named Ananda Vardhana. They called him Elvis because he looked just like Elvis with a big smile, you know. And so they're doing all the cleaning and all this stuff. And I walked in and I saw him. And the boy, Ananda Vardhana, was trying to go on the altar. They had Panchatattva. This Panchatattva deity was on the altar there. So he was doing something on the altar. They were just getting, this was the grand opening of this. So this temple hadn't been used yet. It was just beginning. They had before just, you know, been getting there, kind of getting ready. They had moved from Spruce Street. So anyway, he was washing his feet. And I go over to him, I pick up a towel to dry his feet. I have no idea why I did that. I mean, I never would have ever in a million years done that. That just was not my thing, you know. And I went to dry his feet. He said, no. And I swear, it was like the first impression were those devotees. And I knew at that time, I want to be with y'all. And so Yogendra, you know, he talked to me and he said, what are you going to do? And I said, well, you know, I don't know, but, you know, I want to keep coming. And so I had like a week till I went offshore, and I'd go and I'd walk down there every day and eat prasadam. And then, you know, they told me you're not supposed to eat meat, you know. And I said, yeah, I don't want to eat meat, you know. So I just want to eat prasadam, you know. And so I came they had a Sunday feast. And I had never really had prasadam. And they came with this big bowl of halwa and sweet rice. And I was a guest then, right? So they set me down, they gave me, and I was eating. I loved it. I was just like mesmerized. I thought, this is the most wonderful food I have ever eaten. And I said, can I have some more? And Yogendra said, yeah. Yogendra gets me another big bowl. He said, so what you going to do, Dr. Darrell? I said, you know, all these people are saying, you know, they're thinking I'm coming and these relations and stuff. And I said, you know, I think I'm going to move in the temple if y'all have me. And so he said, well, let's go ask the temple president. The temple president said, no. I said, why not? He said, you're not ready. I said, I think I'm ready. And so they talked about it a little bit. Finally, he said, okay, but you can't shave up. I said, okay. So I go home and I tell them, hey, I'm going to go to the temple. And I have one suitcase, is all I had. And they're all like, well, you know, we've been doing so much here, whatever you do, you know. So I move in the temple. And I go in the temple. And all of a sudden, it was a whole different world. You know? It's like, all of a sudden, you know, I started waking up and going through the process of, you know, getting rid of the dirt and the things in my heart. You know, brahmachari life is so important, so significant. That brahmachari life is the time where nothing's complicated. It's all simple. It's you, the whole name, this, what's going on in here. And it was hard. There was some rough stuff in my heart. I remember standing in front of the temple one morning trying to chant, and I'm chanting Hare Krishna, and I think, Jesus, you're going to have to tell me something here, because I'm so attached to you. I can't do this if it's not pleasing to you. This is honest to God's truth. Y'all can understand it. My heart had just burst, and I started crying. I was so happy. It was like a release. It was that knot of religiosity. I had got this deep knot. I didn't even know it was there. But studying, you know, Christian theology, all that stuff, you can get attached to it. And then I realized the oneness of Christianity and Christian consciousness. So it's like the Krishna book, then we would sit, it just made sense to me. All the stories, we would start talking about Krishna, and Mahendranath was like this unbelievable devotee. Mahendranath was so far out. He's like this mystic yogi guy, you know. He's like, start talking about Mahavishnu and the Lotus stem, and then I'm sitting there, we're pouring these oils in a little square bottle, spiritual sky oils, and he would be telling me all about it, you know, and I'm like just mesmerized with Mahendranath. He would just go on and on. He was my, you know, definitely my Siksha, you know. He's just going on, you know, and then, you know, gradually, you know, we started going out on Harinam. And so I remember going to Harinam, it was really hard for me because I was a real socialite kind of person. You know, I didn't do well when people made fun of me. You know, I didn't like to be ridiculed, you know, it was not my thing. So we went out on Bourbon Street, Memorial Street, and Nityananda, Kanikamari, you know, Mahendranath, this boy named Roy at the time had just came, another devotee named Peter. They all left, but they had just came, just bhaktas that came. And anyway, we would go downtown. Ranganath's wife, Premamai was there. Premamai was there early days. We would go down on Laurel Street and we would just chant. So when we were walking back to the temple, and I thought, I can't do this. I can't be a Hare Krishna. It's too hard for me to be Hare Krishna. And I looked and I saw all these devotees and I thought, but I can't leave them. I can't leave these devotees, you know. They're so nice to me. They're so kind to me. I can't leave them. And so I said, I'm going to stay just because of them. So this came to mind because as we were reading this verse, you know, it's like Krishna's devotees. We're not necessarily can approach Krishna directly. But to serve his devotees, I think, is the main secret, the key to success in spiritual life. I always had that mentality, even in the early days. I always served the temple president, and I'm a very strong GBC allegiance man. And Bhagavatam Krishna Maharaj told me one time, said, you're a Prabhupada man. You know, and so, in a sense, that has, I think, y'all wonder why somebody like me who could stay all this time and still be a Hare Krishna, you know, the qualities don't look like they would lend one to become a spiritualist. But the truth is, it's been by the association of devotees. It's been by the mercy of the devotees, particularly Brikadar was one of the main people who, Brikadar just carried me under his wings like a brother who loved me and sheltered me and took care of me and kept me going through the hard times. So it truly is a movement where, like in this verse, when Maharaj Yudhishthira is speaking, he's not necessarily asking so much about Krishna. He knows Krishna's done, but he's asking about the Dwarka residents, the people who, how are they doing? And so, in a sense, this Krishna consciousness movement, if we study it carefully, we begin to understand much more emphasis, to please Krishna, much more emphasis is on pleasing the devotees of Krishna. Somehow or another pleasing the devotee of the devotee of the devotee. So, Krishna gives himself to us proportionately to when we're doing things that he wants to encourage. In other words, Krishna can reveal himself to us totally at any moment. He could. We could see Krishna Lila right on the bank of the Jamuna right now. Shama Sundar. We could see it. We could be there right now. Because Krishna can reveal it to our hearts. We could see it all. But the point is that the reason he keeps giving us the measured incentives, the measured inspiration, is he's guiding us, he's teaching us, he's training us, he's molding us. He's bringing us to the point to where we are a true devotee, a pure devotee, a devotee of the devotee of the devotee. So we don't feel ourselves, qualified ever, but we feel like, I just want to serve the devotees. And Krishna then puts within our heart a certain type of balance to where you see both. You see Krishna and you see his devotees. It's not like you have to separate one. Oh, I serve the devotees. No, I want to serve Krishna. Like one time my aunt, I told her that we're all servants of the Lord. She said, he don't want us to serve him. My wife and I just laughed, in her colloquial country. She said, he don't want us to be a servant. It's like they don't understand the concept of service. But Lord Chaitanya also emphasized that. Devotee of the devotee of the devotee of the gopis. I don't know the verse exactly. You'll probably know some.
Gopi bhattu padakamalayo das das dasan das.
Yes, the gopis a million times removed. So the point being is that how to do this? What does that really mean? Does that mean that I just arbitrarily just start serving this Prabhu, that Prabhu, this Prabhu? It means that somehow or another we first within our hearts we have to understand the principle of total allegiance, total commitment to Guru. Guru, Krishna, to serve the Guru means that we totally are willing to do anything for Prabhupada, for our spiritual master. We're willing to go and do anything for our spiritual master. In our hearts we're feeling like that, to the point where we wouldn't live without our spiritual master. We wouldn't want to live without our spiritual master. Our spiritual master is our life and soul. In that mood, when one somehow or another feels that much attachment to the Guru, to his spiritual master, to serving him completely, then Krishna within the heart starts to reveal himself in ways that allow us to then realize the integrity of this Krishna conscious philosophy. We actually start to see God. But first we have to humbly submit ourselves at the lotus feet of the spiritual master, not just externally, but internally, in our hearts, in our mind. We have to become that humility personified. It's hard. So when you do that, when you bow down to a devotee like Bhushaya and I grew up in a brahmachari ashram for a while here, and he can relate to the. You were in Texas for a while, and where were you at long ago, Ned?
Miami.
Miami. So in the ashrams in the early days, I remember coming back from the Sankirtan one day. We were in the back of this Volkswagen. There was no seats. We were taking them all out. It was super hot, and these devotees started arguing and fussing, and they would just start arguing with each other, Bhakti Joe and Bhakti Roy were arguing, and Bhakti Joe was saying, "It's not proper to curse." And Bhakti Roy said, it's okay to cuss. And they said, Bhakti Darrell, is it okay for us to cuss? They're arguing back and forth. It's so hot and cranky, it's like, Prabhupada might not, not like it, whatever. And so, but there was this you sleep on a floor. Like when I was doing Bhagavatam Prabhu's eulogy, I just got so choked up because I remembered, him laying his sleeping bag down and then laying down beside him in a sleeping bag on the floor. So there was just a bare room. That's all we had. We had nothing. Hridayananda Maharaj used to always preach to us, and he would say, a brahmachari needs two things. Bead bag and Bhagavad Gita. That's all you need. You can drop you off anywhere. Bead bag, Bhagavad Gita. It's like, so you reach this point of total meditation on Krishna, and you're dealing with these people so much, they become like your family, that you become super attached to them, But it's hard because then at the same time you're dealing with your own anarthas, and you're trying to maintain you're trying to stay in the Hare Krishna movement because the senses are pulling and pushing and the mind is pulling and pushing. It's not easy. It's not easy to be a Hare Krishna. I always tell people like that. It's not an easy thing. If it was easy, why don't you do it, Prabhupada said. But because it requires you to surrender your heart. But right now, as we've grown older and we've stayed, for me, it's like, it's so wonderful now. I'm so happy, It's like, I chant Hare Krishna, and sometimes I really realize, oh my God, this is real, this is everything. And I read in Srimad Bhagavatam like I'm reading about Lord Anantadev now, and there's 3 planetary systems, upper, middle, and lower planetary systems, but the hellish planets are below that. They're their own separate little place called Narkaloka. And they're not part of the 3 planetary systems. And below that is the causal ocean, and there Anantadev is. And it's a whole section of Srimad Bhagavatam on Lord Ananta. And it just reaches a point where you realize, how have I missed this? Lord Anantadev is just so auspicious. Here's the thing. So Balaram, of course, and Prabhupada points out, he's all about destruction of the universe. That's what he's there for. So he has so much anger and fire, fury, but he holds it back for us. But because the living entities, each manifestation of the creation, the living entities are supposed to get out. You see, we've been sucked in before, and we came out again. So we're supposed to get out this time. Mm-hmm. And when we don't, what happens? Anantadev becomes angry. And when he becomes angry, he destroys the universe. Lord Shiva is an expansion of Lord Anantadev. And so when you put it all in context, you start to realize the unlimited aspect. This universe on the hood of Ananta is like a mustard seed. He doesn't even know it's there. And here we are thinking how important I am or how significant I am. Lord Anantadev, Prabhupada said, this is what he says, this is not imaginary. This is real. He says it many times, this is not imaginary. But so what happens as we get older in Krishna consciousness, we start to realize these truths to be true. Understand? We start to realize this is all real. Huh? And then you start to develop a tiny little bit of attraction for Krishna. A little bit. Sometimes you look at a picture of Krishna and you think, God, he's so beautiful. And you see Krishna and you think, now I know why people worship you. Now I know why people, call you all attractive. Isn't it? You start to get these little intimates, little awarenesses. And so then when you realize, hey, I'm not going to make it this lifetime. I done waited too late. I should have started when I was younger and became a serious devotee instead of just squandering my life. But then I realized, Prabhupada said, that if you don't finish, what happens? You take birth in a family of Vaishnavas or yogis or rich people, whatever, and you get to finish up. So you start playing the long game. You start realizing, okay, it's not an all or nothing proposition. I'm going to be doing this for a while. So it takes on a new meaning when you say, you are my master, birth after birth. What do I meditate on when I die? Srila Prabhupada. I don't want to go anywhere else. I don't want to be anywhere else but with Srila Prabhupada. Wherever Srila Prabhupada is, wherever Srila Prabhupada sends me, if I can perfect my service to Srila Prabhupada, that's what this soul wants to do. I don't care about anything else. And I believe that's the safe place. And I think Prabhupada reiterates that many times. The shelter of the Guru is our everything. If you have implicit faith in Krishna and the Guru, all the imports are revealed in your heart. So now you see the manifestation of this karmic past, this lifetime. Next lifetime, I'm situated on a higher level of Krishna consciousness. I'm then situated in perfection of bhakta. I no longer, I have prema bhakta. It's a process. But the nice thing is to realize that it continues after this body. So what is death? Nothing. We're seeing death all around us. What is it? Nothing. It means absolutely nothing. It's like you wear this kurta or this yogi pants or this dhoti or whatever. That means nothing. So, but we have to be on the eternal platform. So Krishna consciousness is from the early beginning when I knew nothing all the way to the point where I'm totally convinced that I've stumbled in, like Dhruva Maharaj said, looking for a piece of glass, found the most valuable jewel. So we have to realize this is confession time for me. This is, be honest with it and tell you, I wasted my life, being a fool, just chasing whatever my senses and my mind would dictate. But it doesn't mean I lost, because somehow or another, Prabhupada said, like a child who wants something to eat, nonsense wants to eat some dirt, and his father will give him, sandesh instead. So, we may become looking to try to get some sense gratification, some, sorority of, mode of goodness and freedom from suffering. Like Prabhupada used to say, they're in the material world and they come to the mood, they're very, miserable and suffering, and they come to the temple, they get cleaned up, then they go back out and want to do nonsense again. So that was our position. I came a little purified, and I thought, now let me enjoy. But then the thing is that when I went back, I couldn't enjoy. Why?
You knew too much.
Because it's Krishna. Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure. So Krishna tricks us in a way. But he doesn't really trick us. He just allows us to take it in gradated portions until we reach a point where now we're like, if I had it to do over again, and guess what? You do. That's the point. But we have to become fixed. Fixed in what? The chanting of the holy name. That goes with us. So when you're chanting Hare Krishna, if you chant it seriously, and when you leave your body, you're still chanting, when you take your next birth, you're going to remember, Krishna's going to allow all that to be going with you. That attachment to the holy name. When you start chanting again, you see these young boys and girls who come, where are they coming from, right? You look at them, they're so pure, they're so elevated in their consciousness. They're souls, coming again, doing it again. So the point being is that Lord Chaitanya's movement, we have to eventually get to the point where we realize that it's going to keep growing, and eventually the devotees are going to be asking the deities what to do. Vishaya has a question. Ask Yeshua, ask the Pujari. Understand? If you have a question, you go to the Pujari. The Pujari asks the deity. Read Ramanuja, Lapa Ramanuja Charya. That's how they did it. You had a question? Go tell the Pujari to ask the deity. The deity tell you, yeah, you should go there and do this. Okay.
Does the Pujari have to know what the deity says?
The Pujari would talk to the deity would talk to the Pujari. They talk. Read Ramanuja Charya, Lapa Ramanuja Charya. It's there.
I'm just thinking of myself as a Pujari.
Yeah. No, they talk. I mean, it depends. The Pujari reaches a point where the Pujari is very pure. The Pujari is understanding that this is not just art, this is not a form of the Lord, this is the Lord. This is Shri Radharani. They're eternal. They're going to be here 1,000 years from now. So Shri Radharani, they'll remember where we were from, where we came from. They'll say, yeah, I remember you. You came in early 70s. You were one of the first wave when my pure devotee picked you up. Now you're a great saint. People saying, oh, what a wonderful devotee. They don't realize at one point you were just a worm, a fool, and Srila Prabhupada came and performed a miracle. But we will know. This movement will know. This history will know that this movement will become so well known for what? This original Srila Prabhupada came and, I mean, he will become so glorified. Srila Prabhupada will be known as the greatest of all devotees ever in the history of devotional service. Because he performed what no other person could do. No other person could have done. If you read his purports and you read Srimad Bhagavatam, you just have to sit back and realize Srila Vyasadeva could not do it any better. He could not do it any better. So you're talking Narada Muni, Srila Vyasadeva level of empowerment. This is a fact. They come, sometimes devotees got confused in the early days. They had the big thing about Prabhupada God, None of us ever got that. I never got confused. I understood Prabhupada told us right quickly from the very beginning, But the point being is that we also understand that he is Shaktavish. Just like Maharaj Prithu. Maharaj Prithu came and he was a Jiva soul, but he was empowered. And in those purports, if you read it, you understand what Shaktavish avatar means. It means the Lord gives you so much Shakti, personal Shakti to do what you couldn't, normal person couldn't do. A normal person couldn't translate all these books. There's no way they can sit there and write all that cosmology and those details and the purports about this universe. Oh, no way! It's not impossible. It's no way. It's a Shakti that came from God only. So this is Srila Prabhupada. When you start to realize it, you realize whatever we are, we're so insignificant. But we are significant because we get a chance to be part of this wave, or Chaitanya's wave. It's amazing, amazing, amazing phenomenon. There's going to be lots of devotees coming. Thousands of devotees, young people, rich people, poor people, everybody is going to take to Krishna consciousness. The whole world is going to be inundated with Krishna consciousness. This is not going to pass. Prabhupada used to say, if they knew what we were doing, they would kill us. He said that. If they knew what we were doing, they would kill us. This movement is going to take over the planet. There will be leadership who are saying, if you don't chant 16 rounds a day, you cannot be part of this society. Yeah? Brahmins, Sudras, Vaishya, all of them. Kshatriya, they'll all be here, and they'll all play their role, and they'll all remember Krishna as the center. That's what's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's just going to take a little time. Lord Chaitanya's movement will keep growing and growing. And Dallas, the reporter, asked you to Prabhupada, what would happen if everybody took to this Hare Krishna movement? What would happen to the planet? I was right there, and Prabhupada said, well, first, it's not going to happen. And he said, but if it did, what's one planet? So he's seen from the absolute realm, Another thing when he was here, I wanted to mention is when he was here, we were walking on the road, I was thinking this morning, and the devotee was driving, and there was a big thing about war then, so the devotee asked Prabhupada, what would we do during the war? And Prabhupada said, well, usually they don't bomb the farms. So, you don't have to worry about being bombed here, basically. And then he said, but we will be like the Red Cross. I thought that was a perfect answer, Because so many devotees running around training to be Kshatriyas with their guns. I'm like, what the hell are we going to do, We're not shot, we just, we can't do anything really to defense or whatever, maybe defend your house or something. But the Red Cross is perfect for me, It's like, here we are, we have this beautiful place, people come, we care for them, we give them shelter, we give them food, and we tell them about Krishna. And gradually what happens is, just like you see this girl, I won't embarrass her because she's gone now, but just like this girl came here, she first came, she just came for some kind of whatever, But now you talk to her, and she really wants to be a Hare Krishna girl for the rest of her life. She's hooked on Krishna. So all of these souls out there, there's some of them out there, we have to Just keep bringing them in, and it will continue like that. We'll get more preachers. We're going to build these little guest houses. We're going to have all these places, and eventually we'll build a memorial to Srila Prabhupada. We'll build a big temple, and all of this will happen right here. And this place will become a Mecca, a holy place. Why? Because Srila Prabhupada walked just right here. You can't take that away, you see. That's an eternal thing. Prabhupada walked here. Why did he choose to walk here? He marked this land as a tirtha. This is it. It's eternal. It'll always be where Srila Prabhupada walked. So we have to memorialize it, maintain it, take it, develop it, and stay here. Any questions or comments?
When you were talking about Ramanuja speaking to the deities, even I heard my Guru Maharaj say that Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj would speak to the deity of Radharani and ask her how to serve her Lord. So it's not, like when we hear these amazing mystical things, you think, oh yes, and days gone by, but Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj.
Yeah.
Prabhupada, there's an instance of Prabhupada.
Oh yes.
In speaking.
Your Guru Maharaj also, I saw him getting his instructions at Vedanta Pit's house. I was right there next to him and I saw he's in front of the deities and I just realized that he's getting his instructions. It's not unusual, when you're a pure devotee, Krishna has no hang-up about you anymore. You have no motivation. So Krishna can allow you some miracle, you're going to become puffed up or something? No. You have no desire. Krishna knows you desire in your heart. You have no desire but to serve Krishna no matter what. Any wealth you give you. Like Prabhupada, one time they asked him, why do y'all yogis, y'all have these house, you have a house, a big house and a big car. Prabhupada said, not one big house, many big houses. Not one big car, many big cars. So the point being is that we don't become attached. If we're successful, Krishna knows we're going to use it in His service. So Prabhupada said, if you're ready, Krishna will give you the whole world. So we have to realize that wealth's going to come. We're going to have some wealth, but we can't become enamored with it. We can't become, thinking it's my money. Prabhupada said, you make $1 million a day, you spend $1 million a day in Krishna's service. So we have to be like that. We have to think, how can I make $1 million a day to build this temple? Nothing wrong with that. Building a temple for Prabhupada, Krishna. Why not? It's good. It's a wonderful thing. Yes.
First time I've ever saw Radha and Krishna was on a bottle of that oil, that spiritual sky, and it was really tall and it was square sided. It wasn't round like the other bottle. It was square. It was a beautiful picture. And I said, I saw it in a head shop. We call them head shops. I guess they call them hippie smoke shops or whatever. But that oil came back in 72 or earlier.
Yeah, and that oil would burn a hole in your arm.
It was.
They'd offer it to the deities and they'd put it on your arm and it'd turn a blister on your arm.
No.
Some chemical, We have real oil now that we offer.
Yeah.
We sold it.
Quality's better than spiritual sky.
Srila Prabhupada, keep.
Thank you very much.